And it didn't stop there. I mean, since the election, the Dow has been on a tear, crossing 19,000 in November, just days after the election. We had 20,000 in late January, 21,000 in March, 22,000 in August, and then just 2 months later, gained another 1,000 points to soar past 23,000 in October. All of these for the first time ever. Incredible milestones. Money manager Scott Martin, CIO of Kingsview Asset Management, is here. I mean, Scott, we're now less than, it's hard to believe, really, we're now less than 500 points from 24,000. I mean, what do you make of the Trump rally? Do you think it lasts? Do you think that people should be concerned? I mean, we've asked this every milestone of you, but what do you say now?
Yeah, every 1,000, it's a fair question to ask, Cheryl. You know, I think it's deserved, and this is why. It frankly, to me, is sentiment. It's outlook. It's actually delivery on some promises of just being in a better business climate. Because if you remember back the prior 8 years, Cheryl, there was a war on business. I mean, remember the one of my famous speeches that Obama gave in 2012 was the "You didn't build that" speech. Remember that? He was talking to businesses and talking about how the government has helped them do everything that they've ever done in their lives. And to me, that attitude has completely changed. It's completely out the door. And now it's from that to how can we help you, Mr. and Mrs. Businessman, as DC is speaking to them. And that's why companies are hiring. That's why they're spending. That's why their outlook is much better. And that's why the stock prices are going up.
And that's why people are so hung up on the fact that they're sick of hearing about talking points that have nothing to do with reality. And numbers don't lie. We've got the numbers, you know, and especially with the economy and the growth that we've seen. I mean, Trump's grade on the economy has been boosted to an A- in the latest installment of the Yahoo Finance Trumponomic report card. So what grade would you give President Trump on the economy?
Right around there. You know, A- probably just because I'm a tough grader and I had some tough professors in college. Hello to them. Cheryl, I'd give them a B+. And the reason I would keep it in that B range is there still needs to be that delivery on the corporate taxes. I'd like to see some action on health care. But you're right. I mean, you mentioned it in your lead, and a lot of the regulatory burdens have come off. But now it's time to really hit with the good stuff. You know, the funny part about this tax situation to me, Cheryl, is this was the easy one. Remember when we talked in the spring, it was like, okay, health care is going to be kind of wonky and kind of tough because it's so touchy. But the taxes were the easy one. This was like the bipartisan agreement overreaching everything. And look at what's happened. That has even slowed down. So that's a concern to me, to your question earlier about the risk to the stock market. The risk is specific. It's if we don't get this tax reform, if we don't get these tax cuts that we were promised, because that's what I believe some of this rally is built on of late.
Right. And peeling, you know, those regulations getting peeled back, which he has done. So that's helped it as well. But I agree about tax reform. You know, it's interesting because billionaire Home Depot co-founder Bernie Marcus had predicted that the market would rise the day after the election. Watch what he said.
When Trump tells you he's going to cut taxes, he's going to cut regulations, what's the first thing that happens? They create jobs. And what happens when jobs come in? Prosperity comes with it. And I think that that's the issue here. And I think that this is when stocks started to go up, and I think it'll continue to go up, because if he's able to do all the things he says he's going to do, I think the market will be better. I think the economy will be better. I think there will be jobs in America. And isn't that pleasant after 8 years of dismal job growth?
Okay, so was Bernie Marcus right?
Definitely. And I mean, I think he's proven right by the stock market prices themselves, Cheryl. You know, the government has all these great ideas of ways we can live our lives and how we should better spend our money, right? But the reality is this: policies that let businesses decide what they want to do with their capital, lets the money itself go to places where it's treated best and invested best and gets the best return. That's the tonic for a good environment, a good economic environment, and a great stock market. And that's why you're seeing these investors who stuck around are getting rewarded. Because I'll tell you something funny. I had a lot of liberal friends, and I know that sounds like an oxymoron, Cheryl, get out of the stock market on November 9th. And I think that's what a lot of that selling was. It was the liberals selling out after Trump got in. And unfortunately, look what it's done. It's cost them 20, 30, 40%, depending on your favorite index.
Yeah, well, you're just a friendly guy. That's why you have a lot of friends, Scott. You're a good friend of this show.
I try to keep my enemies far away.
Yeah, there you go. Scott Martin, thanks for being here tonight.